After the coal is mined, giant coal haulers carry it to a nearby processing plant, like the one behind me. It's then loaded onto a unit coal train, one of the world's most efficient train systems. Unit trains were specially designed by Canada's railroads because coal is extremely important to them. The advanced systems and machinery developed in Canada to move coal quickly and economically are sought after around the world. Each unit train has around 100 cars that carry enough coal to provide electricity for one home for 20,000 years. Approximately half of the coal mined in Canada is used in Canada, mostly to generate electricity. The rest is sent around the world. Canada sells nearly $2 billion worth of coal to other countries, and that's big business. Internationally, Canada is known for its high-quality coal and for getting it to customers on time. This shipment is bound for Japan, Canada's biggest coal customer. Every year, Japan buys nearly 20 million tons of coal to produce steel and generate electricity. That's close to 1 ton for every single Canadian. Every day, unit trains leave mines in Alberta and British Columbia to ports on Canada's west coast. Other trains run east to Ontario. Some of that coal is used in power plants at Atikokan and Thunder Bay. The rest is loaded onto ships that take it to steel plants in the United States, or to Ontario's Nanticoke power plant on Lake Erie. It takes about 4 hours to load a unit coal train. In 96 hours, the train will travel to a west coast port and be back at the mine ready to reload. Before a unit train leaves a mine, the coal is sprayed with a sealer that acts like plastic wrap to hold the coal down. It stops any coal dust from being blown out as the train travels across the country. In the last 30 years, Canada has been selling more and more coal around the world, and more coal is being shipped from Western Canada to Ontario. To keep up with the demand, some Canadian ports were expanded and other new ones were built. For shipping Western coal to the United States and Ontario, there's the coal port at Thunder Bay. For shipping around the world, there are coal ports at Roberts Bank near Vancouver, Vancouver's Inner Harbor, and Prince Rupert. Ocean-going vessels are also loaded at Sydney, Nova Scotia. As demand grows, other ports may be developed. This is one of the world's largest coal-carrying vessels. In about 30 hours, it can be loaded with more than 200,000 tons of coal, or enough to make 260,000 tons of steel. Every year, Canada's coal ports load more than 30 million tons of coal onto ships bound for Japan, Korea, South America, and Europe. Coal exports are important to Canada's economy. Nearly 35,000 jobs across the country depend on coal exports. Those jobs are found at mines, in mining communities, on railroads, and at coal ports. The steel industry in Japan and in other countries depends on Canadian coal. And Canadian coal is becoming more important for generating electricity around the world. Around the world, coal is an important source of energy. 75% of the world's steel is produced using coal, and coal is used to produce nearly half of the world's electricity. Part of the reason that coal is used so much is that there's lots of it. In Canada, for example, there's not just an abundance of coal, there's a superabundance. There's more stored energy in coal than in all of Canada's oil and natural gas combined. It's the same in many other countries. The world has massive amounts of coal, and coal is also evenly distributed around the world, making it readily available to most countries as a secure source of energy. On the other hand, the world's major reserves of oil and natural gas are concentrated in specific areas, such as the Middle East, resulting in the world's supply being controlled by a small group of countries. Because coal is so plentiful and readily available, many countries have a secure supply of energy. In the developing world, coal will play an important role in bringing people many things that we, as Canadians, take for granted. Things like electricity. As developing nations build industries to improve their standard of living, and as their populations grow, they can turn to coal as a reliable and affordable source of energy. Coal use is expected to rise rapidly as developing nations industrialize. China, for example, has huge amounts of coal, and in the next 10 years, it's expected to use nearly 50% more. That means China will burn more than 1 billion tons of coal every year, or 20% of the coal used in the world. But as developing nations work to improve their standard of living, there are concerns that such large-scale coal use, in the absence of appropriate advanced technology, will affect the environment. In Canada, the coal industry is working hard to protect the environment. Giant strides have been made in finding better ways to mine and use coal, ways that are being used in Canada right now. And here, and in many developed nations, the coal industry, scientists, and governments continue working to make new, cleaner coal technologies available. As these new technologies are developed, efforts will be made to encourage their use in countries where coal is used in ways that are not up to our environmental standards. It is our use of natural resources that has allowed us to achieve our modern way of life. And to maintain our standard of living, we will continue to rely on all of them, including coal. But to ensure that we also protect environments like this, we must continually seek to improve the way we extract and use these valuable resources, now and for the future. There are environmental issues surrounding the use of all sources of energy: hydro, nuclear power, and the fossil fuels: coal, oil, and natural gas. For example, when coal and other fossil fuels are burned, they produce gases that can contribute to acid rain. Burning coal also produces carbon dioxide, which some scientists believe will build up in the atmosphere to cause global warming. In Canada and around the world, industries are using coal differently to reduce these emissions. First, we'll look at what's being done about acid rain. When fossil fuels are burned, they release gases which contain sulfur and nitrogen oxides. These oxides are converted into sulfur and nitrogen acid compounds through chemical reactions in the atmosphere. The term acid rain refers to the role played by rain in transporting these acids from the air to the ground. Acid rain can damage soil, trees, and lakes, as well as man-made objects, such as stone and metal buildings, even works of art. The risk of damage depends on two things: the amount of acid and the natural ability of an ecosystem to absorb and neutralize the acid. Some regions have a better natural defense against acid rain. Parts of eastern Canada are highly sensitive to acid rain, and lakes and trees, such as sugar maples, have been damaged. But on the prairies, soils have the ability to neutralize very large quantities of deposited acids. Taking action against acid rain depends on us understanding the nature of the problem, and the solutions we develop will be varied. Today, there are two major ways to minimize the amount of acid rain created by burning coal. The first is to select a type of coal that produces less sulfur oxides. The second is to remove sulfur oxides before the gases are released to the atmosphere. These two pieces of coal look the same, but they are very different. This piece contains about 5% sulfur. This piece, however, contains only 0.4% sulfur, about 12 times less. By burning this low-sulfur coal, power companies can minimize the acid rain produced by coal and help protect the environment. Low-sulfur coal, just like this, is abundant in Western Canada. The most powerful tools to combat acid rain are clean coal technologies, which minimize the amount of sulfur oxides released to the air. A number of different processes are already being used around the world, and most of them use natural chemical reactions to capture sulfur and nitrogen. And newer, even cleaner ways of burning coal are on the drawing boards. These new and existing technologies can reduce sulfur emissions by up to 99% and nitrous oxide emissions by 90%. The second environmental issue we'll look at is global warming, and it has a lot of scientists scratching their heads. Some scientists believe that gases from a variety of activities, including burning coal, will build up in the Earth's atmosphere, causing temperatures to rise. It's thought that such warming could lead to a changing environment. There are still a large number of questions surrounding our understanding of the global warming issue. Rather than waiting for scientists to better understand the issue, research into ways to burn coal more efficiently and cleanly is going on worldwide. And the coal industry in Canada encourages the use of the cleanest, most efficient available coal technologies needed to protect the environment. The coal industry is working in other ways to protect the environment. One of these is land reclamation, and it can mean recreating a forest on a mountain or returning valuable agricultural land to productive use. Coal mining is only a temporary land use, and mine sites are reclaimed even while mining is underway. But to be able to reclaim land to a productive state, coal companies have to know all kinds of information about what the environment was like before the coal mine was there. Years before a mine opens, coal companies hire scientists to study soils as well as natural water systems, lakes, rivers, and groundwater. They study vegetation and wildlife. Even before mining begins, they determine the best way to reclaim the land. Coal companies use this information to prepare detailed mining designs and final reclamation plans. Reclamation plans are put into action as soon as the first machines arrive to develop the mine. Water management systems ensure nearby lakes, rivers, and groundwater remain clean. In some areas, such as on agricultural land, valuable topsoil and other materials are saved for use later on during reclamation. During mining, coal companies continue to study nearby rivers, lakes, and wildlife to make sure their environmental plans are working. And research into new and better environmental techniques goes on continually. Mining creates dust, so to keep the air clean, roads are sprayed frequently with water or treated to create a hard surface that keeps down the dust. Processing plants that wash and dry coal are designed to minimize dust emissions into the atmosphere. And air quality is tested continually to make sure it's always clean. When mining is completed, land reclamation begins immediately. To bring it back to this condition, earth and topsoils were returned to the site. The land was fertilized and checked by agricultural specialists. In the mountains and foothills, coal companies usually return the land to a wildlife habitat or plant trees that will grow to become productive forests. These seedlings are as much a part of the coal industry as mining. Canada is a world leader in reclaiming mine sites, but that's only a small part of protecting the environment. The clean coal technologies we talked about earlier will play a big role in reducing sulfur oxide emissions that can cause acid rain. A lot of progress has been made, but there's still more work to be done. Worldwide, researchers are working hard to find better ways to burn coal more cleanly and efficiently. It's important that these technologies be available around the world, because in the future, more coal will be needed to generate more electricity, both for us in Canada and for many developing nations. In Canada, coal will continue to be important for generating electricity and to the economy. Coal mining and coal exports create thousands of jobs across the country. And coal will continue to be used to make steel products that we use every day, from skyscrapers to stereos. Yet for the coal industry,